Okay, so what you see framed here is a female Ashe Juniper. So the pruning strategy for that is a little bit different. Now you can see she's got a crazy structure. If you look right here, this area, this is where I want her to grow. I want her to grow tall and I want her to fill in up high. Whereas the male Ashe Junipers, I'm wanting to make them as short as possible. I actually want this female tree to grow. I want her to get as big as possible. But I want her leaves to be up high so that way the sun, which comes from this direction, will shine through and behind her to hit all my garden beds. So that way I can keep the tree and still have the garden beds. Now, the reason why she has no growth right here is because there was two male trees. One that I've already trimmed. It's here to the left. I've done a video on it. And one you probably can't see behind her, but there's a dead trunk right behind her because I over pruned it. I left the actual dead log standing because it's rot resistant and it serves as an excellent trellis for Malabar spinach. So because those two male trees were around her and they were much larger, they shaded her out on both sides. So none of the growth here happened and it all came out forward. So I want to restructure the tree, and that's going to happen by basically cutting off approximately this much of the outside, basically. And you'll see, leave all that green so it doesn't kill the tree. And hopefully it will cause bud back. And you can probably see, I've been working on this tree for a few years. You can probably see she's got some bud back down in here. And actually, this big limb going up and this way didn't even exist when I first started. So this little bit of bud back here, a little bit of bud back here, none of that was there. But it's not really gonna grow. That stuff's not really gonna grow very well until I take this stuff out over here. That's getting all the sap and all the attention from the tree, and it's gonna just keep putting its growth on that side because that is the south side. So I need to encourage it to grow where I want it to grow by basically trimming it. It's kind of like if you ever see a tree grow next to a wall, the side that's next to the wall has no limbs. It's kind of like it's basically being shade pruned. I'm gonna basically mimic that effect by deadheading all of this out here. It will still grow, it will still bud back and try to grow that direction, but it will also send growth in here where I didn't prune it. So it's just the way the tree grows. If you were to deadhead it, somehow it will stop the tree from growing that direction. It will just send out bud back elsewhere. But when you don't prune it, when you don't deadhead it, it actually will just continue to grow. It actually grows faster when you deadhead everything else. So that's what we're doing. Wish me luck. Hopefully I don't break my neck. All right, the hard part about this tree is you notice all these limbs here on the south side where I got my ladders. They're very small, so I can't really climb around in the tree very easily on them without risking damage to the tree. And my ladders don't quite reach all the way up, so it's quite a struggle to prune her properly. But we're gonna give it a shot. Yeah, so we're gonna have to get a different set of pruners. I need some like little tiny hand pruners because the leaves are they're so small up there. I can go faster. So at this point, it's almost like working with a bonsai tree. You have very tiny leaves, and I've got to deadhead every single one of them. So this right here, in my other videos, I've shown a pair of larger loppers and a pruning saw. But these is that's what you need for the kind of detailed work I'll be doing here. And because it's detailed, it actually takes way longer than if I was cutting large logs out of the top of a tree. Okay, so as mentioned in some of my other videos, sometimes you got to get out of the tree and look at it. Because up close you just can't see what to trim. So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I don't, that I trim it in such a way that light still gets down into these lower limbs, because I want them to bud back here. So I got to make sure I trim the top enough that that happens. However, my challenge is this branch has pretty much no bud back. So if I get too aggressive with that branch to let light in, I could kill that branch. So I'm trying to make sure I don't go too nuts on it. I think I can take a little bit more off, and then I'll have to move the ladders to the other side of the tree. Okay, so I think I've taken about as much out as I can on this right here. And that leaves these lower branches. They can get more sun than they could. I've taken probably about a foot or so off on all of this way. You can't see it, but these branches here, I took a substantial amount off. So now we're gonna switch to the other side of the tree. Got some branches over there. 2 or 3 branches, and then this tree will be done. Okay, so that's the end of the trimming of this female tree, at least for this year. Don't think I'll get a chance to do her again in the fall. We'll have to see how much bud back happens and how strong she is. But I will take you guys around the tree. Okay. You know, I'm looking at it through the viewfinder, and to me it really doesn't look any different. I might have to take a still shot and put them side by side or something in the editing. But quite happy with how it turned out. There's still a huge bulk of leaves on this side. She should have plenty of leaves to stay healthy through the summer. When it comes to the females, I'm a lot more conservative than I am with the males, as you can plainly see. But I'll still take you around the tree. You can see that I left all of this bud back here, that up there, all of that, and then all of this bud back here. I left it all untouched, and all that really got trimmed was this out here. We'll take you to the back side of the tree, which is less spectacular. You can see. You can see how much bud back I have here. Right there. I can't see because of the stupid sun. Yeah, you can see from this side it does look a bit more trimmed here on the left, on this south side, than it did from the other side. This time of the year, everybody in the neighborhood has campfires. I guess they're burning their brush. Don't burn it, make biochar. Yeah, and then from this side it looks almost like a full tree. Let's see if I can get you this angle here. There we go. All right. So I have an earlier video. If you look in the distance, see this tree right back here. It goes up pretty high. I have an earlier video where I did that tree, and I got another large male tree that I trimmed that I didn't do a video on because people don't really want to watch me trim trees, but I like to film it because it's a huge part of how I convert the soil here. So this tree here, this is a huge male tree. And it was at least 15 foot taller than it is. And it was, in terms of width, right now it's probably about 5 to 6 foot wide in terms of the leaf canopy there. When I first started trimming it though, it was at least 20 foot wide. Really wide tree, and it's over the top of these garden beds, which is the main reason why I trimmed it, that and to get light down inside. So in terms of the actual garden areas, I have these trees here that still I'll do some videos on. I'm using them as living trellis for my Mustang grape. But they were growing into these power lines, and they're all male trees. So you can see how much growth, like say this one, how much bud back I have. So it's definitely high time I get in there and trim it back. If you let it get away from you, you basically have to start all over. Same here. I want to really be aggressive here at the top, because now I've got much more bud back here lower. Don't need that top anymore. Don't need that height. And Mustang grape doesn't need that height either. And then this tree. This is a female tree right here. I don't want her that tall. So I need to go in and trim the top of her. Now, I probably mentioned it in some videos, but you can see these little trees here. They're all cut. I don't know if they're male or female, you can see. And that's just because I'm trying to keep as many trees alive as I go through this process as possible. The persimmons are budding out. You can see my my wild onion bed, nice and full. They're gonna start bolting here soon. And garlic looks nice. And I think I'll finish the shot with some Nanking cherry and nectarine blooms. See some Nanking cherry. This is a Garden Delight nectarine. And there's another Garden Delight nectarine. And the large nectarine has decided to pop off. Really pretty. Let's get the other side without bleaching out from the sun. This is the first year I've got quince blossoms. I did a short on it. You can see it there. Nice deep red quince blossoms. And there's our nectarine. About 20 foot by about 10 foot of pink display. Beautiful. Get some distance on it, it's quite striking. This year we the plums bloomed way before the nectarine, but last year they all bloomed at the same time, so it was just a field of white and pink. It's really pretty. So I mentioned before that this used to be a grass yard, not a single flower to be found. So we start getting blooms in early March, and then the nectarines come next. And then in the distance, the American plum, which I had half of them die during the drought, but the American plum come shortly after the nectarines. The American plum next to it is still alive, but hasn't blossomed yet. And then after that, we have blackberry. And then after that, we get roses. Now, if you're gonna do roses for pollinators, I'm not forget the exact term, I'll probably annotate, but you don't want to go, you got single petal and double petal. You don't want to go more than that, where there's just a ton of petals, because then it's harder for the pollinators to get down inside. They can still get down inside, but it's harder. And the native roses in the area are single petaled, so it probably wouldn't go more than a double petaled rose. So we end up with flowers going all the way through the end of June, sometimes into July. And I've got native wildflowers, echinacea, which hasn't begun. And then of course now I leave the dandelions. You might be able to see the little yellow dandelion. I've got dianthus. Of course the pollinators don't go for the dianthus too much. When I was in East Texas, I found some dandelions. Not dandelions. What are they called? Daffodils. Some kind of native daffodil looking flower pollinators were going nuts for. So hopefully those will grow. So there we go. I lost some of my comfrey. I'm gonna have to propagate that soon. But nice way to end it. Might make it a separate video, I doubt it. Hope you enjoyed it.